The streets of Chicago are no strangers to drama, but the news surrounding King Von's death continues to send shockwaves through the city and the hip-hop community. Recent reports have revealed a shocking twist. Chief Keef, one of Chicago's most influential rappers, may have played a secret role in the chain of events leading up to Von's tragic death. While Keef has long been a figure associated with Chicago's music scene, sources now suggest that his involvement behind the scenes was far more significant than fans ever realized. Insiders claim that Keef's influence, decisions, and connections may have directly impacted the circumstances surrounding Von's final hours. The revelation raises questions not only about his relationship with Von, but also about the complex web of alliances, rivalries, and conflicts that define Chicago's streets. Those close to the situation insist that understanding Keef's role is key to making sense of why the tragedy unfolded as it did. Adding to the intrigue is the fact that Chief Keef reportedly left Chicago shortly after Von's death and never returned. Industry insiders and friends suggest that this move was more than a simple relocation. It was a strategic decision, likely tied to safety concerns, reputation management, and the fallout from the events surrounding Von. Fans have long speculated about Keef's absence, and now these new details shed light on why one of Chicago's biggest stars vanished from the scene at a critical moment. The combination of secret involvement and sudden departure has reignited debate across social media, with fans dissecting every angle and theorizing about motives, timing, and consequences. This story, insiders say, goes beyond music. It's about power, influence, and survival in a city where street politics and celebrity collide. Every detail that emerges offers new insight into the tragic loss of King Von and the shadowy decisions that shaped the aftermath. The revelations about Chief Keef's role also highlight the high-stakes environment of Chicago's music and street scenes. Allegiances can shift overnight, and influence often comes with dangerous consequences. For Von, the stakes were tragically high, and for Keef, navigating the fallout meant making a choice that would alter his path forever. Fans are now left piecing together the story, analyzing every connection, and questioning what could have been done differently. This emerging narrative promises to change how fans view both artists. Chief Keef's decision to leave Chicago permanently casts a new light on his legacy and underscores the intense pressures of operating at the intersection of fame and street influence. Meanwhile, King Von's death continues to resonate, reminding the city and the world of the fragile line between success, influence, and tragedy. As more details come to light, one thing is clear: the story behind King Von's death is far more complicated than anyone realized. With Chief Keef's secret involvement and sudden disappearance, fans and insiders alike are left questioning loyalties, motives, and the harsh realities of Chicago's streets. Every revelation adds another layer to an already complex and tragic story, one that continues to captivate, shock, and divide the hip-hop community. The story behind King Von's death has always been layered with complexity, but new revelations suggest that Chief Keef may have played a secret role in the events that ultimately led to Von's tragic end. Sources close to the situation say that Keef, despite being one of Chicago's most famous rappers, has always maintained a level of influence that extended far beyond music. His relationships, connections, and presence in the city created a web of alliances and tensions that few fully understood. According to insiders, the dynamics between these powerful figures in Chicago's music and street scene set the stage for a series of events that spiraled out of control. King Von had emerged as one of Chicago's brightest rising stars, renowned not only for his lyrical skill but also for his ability to navigate a city filled with rivalries and high stakes. Those close to him describe Von as a strategic thinker who understood the delicate balance between fame and street credibility. But insiders reveal that even someone as savvy as Von was entangled in forces beyond his control, including tensions connected to Chief Keef and other influential figures in the city. While Keef's involvement was largely behind the scenes, sources claim his influence indirectly shaped decisions, movements, and relationships that impacted Von in significant ways. Friends and associates explain that in the months leading up to Von's death, there were subtle signs of shifting allegiances and hidden tensions. Sources suggest that Keef's decisions, whether intentionally or indirectly, affected Von's positioning in the city and the larger hip-hop landscape. Insiders emphasize that this wasn't a matter of open conflict, but rather a complex web of strategy, reputation, and influence that only someone deeply familiar with Chicago's scene could navigate. In this environment, even minor actions or perceived slights could have magnified consequences, creating a volatile backdrop for Von's final hours. Adding to the intrigue is the fact that Chief Keef reportedly left Chicago shortly after Von's death, never to return. Friends close to Keef claim that his departure was more than a simple choice to relocate. It was a calculated decision driven by safety concerns and the complicated fallout of the events surrounding Von. Insiders say that the timing of his exit raises questions about what he knew, his awareness of potential threats, and the pressures of navigating high-stakes relationships in a city where influence and survival are intertwined. Fans have long speculated about Keef's absence, and this context sheds new light on why one of Chicago's most recognizable figures vanished from the scene at such a critical time. The ripple effects of Von's death, combined with Keef's departure, sent shockwaves through the community. Friends, associates, and fans immediately began connecting dots, trying to understand how someone so central to Chicago's music scene could be absent during a moment of crisis. Social media erupted with theories, speculation, and debates over loyalty, responsibility, and the unseen dynamics that shape outcomes in the city's intertwined music and street culture. Insiders note that these conversations, while speculative, reflect the reality that Chicago's entertainment industry and street influence are deeply connected, and that understanding one often requires understanding the other. Sources reveal that Von's final hours were marked by tension and uncertainty, with events unfolding faster than anyone could anticipate. Even those who had been close to him admit that the stakes were high and that missteps, intentional or not, could have catastrophic consequences. Chief Keef's influence, whether direct or indirect, is now being re-examined as part of the broader context that contributed to the chaos. Insiders argue that understanding his role is essential for anyone trying to piece together the events leading to Von's death, as it provides clarity on the relationships, alliances, and pressures that shaped the situation. Those familiar with the scene describe the environment as one where trust and loyalty are constantly tested, and where even prominent figures like Keef and Von must carefully navigate public perception, private alliances, and potential threats. Sources indicate that in this high-pressure environment, a single decision can have cascading effects, altering the trajectory of careers, reputations, and even lives. Von's death, while tragic, is a reminder of how interconnected the city's music scene and street realities are, and how quickly circumstances can shift beyond anyone's control. The narrative also underscores the stark realities of fame and influence in Chicago. Being a prominent figure comes with benefits, but also with exposure to risks that are often invisible to outsiders. Chief Keef's decision to leave the city highlights the weight of those pressures. According to insiders, his departure was influenced not only by safety concerns but also by the need to manage perception, reputation, and long-term positioning within the industry. For fans and observers, this absence raises questions about accountability, loyalty, and the invisible forces that govern Chicago's music and street landscapes. In examining the events surrounding Von's death, insiders stress the importance of looking beyond surface-level explanations. While many initially focused on immediate conflicts or public incidents, the deeper context reveals a web of influence, strategy, and calculated decisions. Chief Keef's secret role, coupled with his sudden departure, adds a layer of complexity that challenges simplistic narratives. Understanding these dynamics is critical to comprehending how a tragic outcome could occur, even for someone as talented, aware, and cautious as King Von. Ultimately, this first chapter in the story paints a picture of a city where fame, influence, and survival intersect in unpredictable ways. Chief Keef's involvement, whether hidden or indirect, his subsequent exit from Chicago, and the chain of events surrounding King Von's final hours all highlight the fragile balance between opportunity and danger. As insiders continue to reveal new details, the narrative becomes increasingly complex, showing that the tragedy of Von's death cannot be understood without considering the broader network of relationships, influence, and high-stakes decisions that define Chicago's music and street culture. The story is far from over, and every revelation brings new questions about loyalty, influence, and the forces that shape life and death on the city's streets. In the wake of King Von's tragic death, the spotlight has increasingly turned toward the unseen forces that shaped the events leading up to that fateful night. Chief Keef's involvement, once considered peripheral, is now being scrutinized by insiders who say his influence in Chicago's music and street scenes may have played a significant, though largely hidden, role. Those close to the situation emphasize that while Keef's name is often associated with mainstream success and chart-topping hits, his impact extends far beyond music, touching the dynamics of alliances, rivalries, and power in the city. The tension between Von and other figures in Chicago, combined with Keef's behind-the-scenes influence, created a volatile environment that would ultimately contribute to the tragedy. Sources suggest that Keef's influence manifested in multiple ways, ranging from shaping alliances to providing guidance on navigating street politics. While he may not have been present during the events that directly led to Von's death, insiders argue that his decisions, intentional or otherwise, affected how key players moved, how rivalries escalated, and how Von himself positioned himself in the city. Friends of Von reportedly noticed subtle shifts in behavior and alliances in the weeks leading up to the incident, suggesting that forces beyond his immediate control were at play. The complexity of Chicago's music scene cannot be overstated. Sources explain that the city's streets and music industry are deeply intertwined, with reputations and relationships often overlapping. For someone like Von, whose credibility depended on both talent and street connections, understanding who to trust, when to act, and how to navigate rivalries was a constant challenge. Keef's presence in this ecosystem, even from the sidelines, influenced how others perceived and interacted with Von. Insiders claim that some tensions that escalated into life-threatening situations can be traced back to dynamics that Keef helped shape, whether intentionally or indirectly. Adding to the intrigue is Chief Keef's sudden departure from Chicago following Von's death. Friends and industry insiders confirmed that Keef left abruptly and never returned, a move that many interpreted as both strategic and protective. The timing, they argue, was not coincidental. Sources say Keef likely recognized the potential dangers in remaining in a city where alliances were shifting, tensions were high, and scrutiny on his involvement, even indirect, was growing. This decision underscores the high stakes of operating within Chicago's music and street ecosystems, where influence comes with real risks. Meanwhile, fans and analysts have been piecing together timelines and interactions to understand what role, if any, Keef played in the events leading up to Von's death. Social media debates and online forums have exploded with speculation, with some arguing that his absence was a deliberate attempt to avoid further complications, while others suggest that his behind-the-scenes influence may have set in motion certain dynamics that escalated conflict. Regardless of interpretation, insiders emphasize that understanding Keef's position is key to making sense of the broader picture. Sources close to Von describe the final weeks of his life as increasingly tense. Allegiances were being tested, rivalries intensified, and small miscalculations carried enormous consequences. Friends report that Von was aware of the precarious balance he had to maintain, but even his acute awareness could not shield him from the broader web of influence shaping events. In this context, Keef's role, though not overtly confrontational, was part of a complex ecosystem that contributed to heightened risks, underscoring how indirect influence can have life-altering effects. Insiders also highlight the psychological toll on both Von and those around him. Being in a high-stakes environment where every move is analyzed and reputations are constantly negotiated adds immense pressure. Friends of Von note that the combination of media attention, social scrutiny, and the underlying tensions of Chicago's street and music worlds created a situation where stress and vigilance were constant. Keef's presence in the background, with his established influence and strategic decisions, reportedly added another layer of pressure to an already volatile environment. Industry experts explain that this scenario is not uncommon in Chicago's music landscape. Success and street credibility are deeply intertwined, and prominent figures often navigate complex networks of influence where visibility, loyalty, and power intersect. Keef's role demonstrates how influence can be exerted without direct action. His guidance, alliances, and reputation shaped decisions that affected Von's environment. Sources assert that understanding these nuances is essential to comprehending the full context of Von's death and the dynamics that made it possible. Furthermore, Keef's departure has created a lasting impact on the perception of accountability in Chicago. Friends and insiders suggest that while many initially focused on visible conflicts or immediate confrontations, the larger forces of influence and behind-the-scenes decisions are just as critical. The fact that Keef left the city permanently adds to speculation about responsibility, intent, and the pressures faced by prominent figures navigating dangerous and politically charged environments. Ultimately, this phase of the story underscores the complexity of Chicago's intertwined music and street worlds. Chief Keef's hidden influence, combined with his sudden exit, illustrates the high stakes of operating at the intersection of fame, power, and survival. For King Von, navigating this ecosystem required constant vigilance, strategic thinking, and awareness of forces beyond his control. Insiders argue that understanding Keef's indirect role is crucial for anyone seeking a comprehensive perspective on the tragedy, highlighting how unseen decisions and relationships can profoundly shape outcomes. As the story continues to unfold, one thing is clear: the dynamics behind Von's death are far more intricate than what meets the public eye. Chief Keef's involvement, both covert and strategic, played a key role in shaping the environment that led to the tragedy. His decision to leave Chicago further emphasizes the intensity and danger of navigating a city where music, influence, and street politics intersect. Every detail revealed adds depth to a narrative that continues to captivate fans, challenge assumptions, and spark debate across the hip-hop community. In the months following King Von's death, the story surrounding Chief Keef's involvement has grown increasingly complex. Insiders reveal that while Keef never publicly acknowledged any direct role in the tragic events, his influence over Chicago's streets and music industry cannot be overstated. Friends close to both artists suggest that Keef's reputation, alliances, and decisions indirectly shaped the tensions that escalated around Von. To understand this, one must consider the intricate web of power, loyalty, and influence that governs Chicago's music scene. An environment where reputations are currency, and alliances can determine life or death outcomes. Sources close to Von describe the final months of his life as increasingly high stakes. Despite his success and growing fame, Von was still very much enmeshed in the realities of street politics. Every decision he made, every interaction he had, was influenced not only by personal ambition, but also by the invisible pressures exerted by powerful figures like Chief Keef. While many fans assumed Keef's role in Von's life was purely supportive or neutral, insiders argue that his influence was subtle yet far-reaching. Keef's guidance, his relationships, and even his perceived alliances reportedly shaped how Von navigated a landscape fraught with tension and rivalry. In the days leading up to Von's death, sources suggest that key interactions between different players in Chicago's scene began to escalate. Minor disputes, amplified by perceptions of loyalty and respect, reportedly contributed to an environment where conflicts could quickly spiral. Friends and associates of Von say that even someone as strategic and careful as he was could not fully predict or control how these forces would interact. Keef's presence, though indirect, was part of the framework shaping the environment. His influence affected the decisions of other individuals, the flow of information, and even the perception of Von's position within the broader hierarchy. The suddenness of Chief Keef's departure from Chicago following Von's death added fuel to the speculation. Sources claim that Keef left not only for personal safety, but also to distance himself from a highly volatile situation. His exit, insiders say, was a calculated move to manage both his physical safety and public reputation. Fans have long questioned why one of the city's biggest stars would abandon his hometown at such a critical moment. But insiders suggest that in a world where influence and danger coexist, leaving was the most strategic choice he could make. This departure simultaneously created distance from responsibility, while casting a shadow of unanswered questions over his role in the events. Social media and fan forums erupted with debates about Keef's absence. Many argue that as one of the most influential figures in Chicago's scene, he had an obligation to stay and navigate the fallout. Others speculated that his behind-the-scenes influence may have contributed to some of the tensions that escalated into tragedy. Insiders emphasize that these debates, while speculative, highlight an important truth. Influence in Chicago's music and street scene operates both publicly and privately, and understanding the full picture requires examining the subtler, behind-the-scenes dynamics. Friends of Von emphasize that the artist was acutely aware of the environment he was navigating. While his talent and strategic thinking earned him prominence, the pressures of living at the intersection of fame, street politics, and industry expectation were immense. Keef's indirect role reportedly added complexity to Von's decision-making, influencing the alliances he formed, the movements he made, and the way he presented himself publicly. Sources suggest that even small gestures, interactions, or perceived slights could escalate tensions, illustrating the precarious balance that Von had to maintain daily. Industry insiders point out that this scenario highlights a broader reality in Chicago's music and street scenes. Power and influence often operate through subtle channels. Direct confrontation is not always necessary. A single decision, a piece of advice, or the perception of support from someone like Chief Keef can shape behavior, alliances, and outcomes. In Von's case, insiders argue that understanding these subtle influences is essential to understanding the chain of events that led to his death. Keef's role, though largely unseen by the public, was part of a larger ecosystem that dictated the dynamics of trust, loyalty, and risk in the city. The psychological and emotional stakes for all involved were significant. Insiders describe an environment of constant vigilance, where reputations could be ruined overnight and a single misstep might have serious consequences. Von's awareness of these pressures did not eliminate risk. In fact, it may have heightened the tension he experienced in the final days. Keef's absence, while protective for him, left certain dynamics unresolved and created additional uncertainty, complicating the already precarious balance that Von navigated daily. Friends and analysts also highlight the role of public perception in shaping outcomes. Chief Keef's influence extended beyond private interactions. His reputation, endorsements, and public positioning affected how others interpreted loyalty, credibility, and threat levels. Insiders say that even without direct involvement, Keef's presence in the ecosystem altered behaviors and decisions that ultimately influenced events surrounding Von's death. The convergence of public perception and behind-the-scenes influence created a highly charged environment where stakes were life-altering. As more details emerge, insiders emphasize that the story is far from black and white. Chief Keef's involvement, both covert and strategic, illustrates the intricate dynamics at play in Chicago's intertwined music and street worlds. His departure from the city adds another layer of complexity, raising questions about strategy, responsibility, and the unseen forces that shape the tragic outcome. Fans and observers are left piecing together timelines, evaluating relationships, and questioning the interplay of influence, loyalty, and decision-making in a high-stakes environment. Ultimately, this chapter of King Von's story underscores that fame and talent alone do not protect anyone from the unpredictable consequences of influence, rivalry, and strategic maneuvering. Chief Keef's secret role, coupled with his sudden exit from Chicago, highlights the precarious balance of power, loyalty, and survival in a city where the lines between music, street politics, and life-or-death decisions often blur. The unfolding narrative continues to captivate fans, spark debate, and reveal the hidden complexities behind a tragedy that shook Chicago and the hip-hop world alike. In the continuing investigation into King Von's death, new details surrounding Chief Keef's influence and subsequent departure from Chicago have deepened the mystery. Insiders explain that while Keef was never publicly implicated, his behind-the-scenes role had ripple effects that contributed to the tension and uncertainty leading up to Von's final moments. Friends and associates say that understanding this hidden layer of influence is key to piecing together the sequence of events that culminated in tragedy, revealing how power, reputation, and strategy intersect in Chicago's music and street scenes. Sources close to Von reveal that in the weeks leading up to his death, the young rapper was navigating increasingly complex dynamics. While he had risen to fame and earned respect for his lyrical talent, Von still had to manage relationships shaped by loyalty, rivalry, and influence. Insiders suggest that Chief Keef, as one of Chicago's most prominent figures, played a subtle but meaningful role in these dynamics. His guidance, perceived alliances, and reputation reportedly affected Von's positioning and interactions, influencing how other players responded to him and escalating tensions in ways that were not immediately obvious. Friends emphasize that Von's life was a constant balancing act between ambition, personal safety, and credibility. In a city where influence and street politics are deeply intertwined, even indirect involvement from a figure like Keef could have dramatic consequences. Insiders explain that while Keef may not have directly engaged in conflict surrounding Von, his decisions and presence in the network of alliances shaped the environment in which Von operated. From advising allies to setting reputational standards, Keef's influence reportedly affected the trajectory of events in subtle but significant ways. The timing of Chief Keef's departure from Chicago only added fuel to speculation. According to sources, Keef left shortly after Von's death, never returning to the city. Industry insiders described this as a strategic move influenced by safety concerns, potential reputational risk, and the volatile nature of the events that had just unfolded. Friends suggest that Keef understood the heightened scrutiny and the dangers present in staying, making a calculated decision to step back from a city where alliances were shifting and tensions were running high. This move has only intensified debate among fans and observers, prompting questions about his awareness, intent, and the unseen forces that influenced Von's life and death. Social media erupted following these revelations, with fans speculating about the depth of Keef's involvement. Some argued that as a key figure in Chicago's music scene, he bore some responsibility for the chain of events. Others suggested that his departure was a necessary safety measure and that his influence, while significant, was not directly responsible for Von's death. Insiders note that these debates reflect the complicated reality of Chicago's intertwined music and street worlds, where influence operates in both visible and invisible ways, shaping outcomes without overt confrontation. During this period, sources indicate that Von's daily life was filled with heightened awareness and strategic decision-making. Friends recount that he constantly evaluated whom to trust, when to engage, and how to maintain his credibility amidst shifting allegiances. Chief Keef's influence, while not overt, added an additional layer of complexity, as Von had to consider not only his direct relationships but also the broader network of influence in which he was operating. Even minor decisions could carry unintended consequences, amplifying risk in ways that were difficult to control. Industry experts stress that the scenario surrounding Von's death highlights a broader truth about Chicago's music industry. Reputation, alliances, and influence often dictate outcomes as much as talent and performance. Chief Keef's role illustrates that influence is not always visible, and that strategic decisions, advice, or perceived support can shape behavior and escalate conflict. Sources argue that without considering Keef's indirect impact, it is impossible to fully understand the environment that led to Von's death and the challenges he faced navigating both fame and street politics. The psychological and emotional stakes for Von were immense. Friends describe an atmosphere of constant vigilance, with reputations, alliances, and personal safety inextricably linked. Insider accounts suggest that Keef's influence added pressure, as Von had to navigate expectations and dynamics shaped by one of the city's most powerful figures. The result was a tense, high-stakes environment where every decision mattered and mistakes could have catastrophic consequences. Insiders also note that Keef's departure had long-term implications for Chicago's scene. His absence created a void in the web of influence, altering how relationships were managed and alliances formed. While some viewed his exit as protective, others questioned the timing and the responsibility of influential figures in moments of crisis. These dynamics continue to spark debate, underscoring the delicate balance of power, loyalty, and risk in Chicago's interconnected worlds of music and street influence. Ultimately, This phase of the narrative demonstrates how hidden influences and strategic decisions shape outcomes in ways that are often invisible to outsiders. Chief Keef's indirect role, coupled with his sudden disappearance from Chicago, illuminates the complex environment in which King Von operated, a world where fame, loyalty, influence, and survival are tightly intertwined. As insiders continue to piece together the details, it becomes increasingly clear that understanding these hidden dynamics is essential to comprehending the tragedy, the decisions involved, and the pressures that define life and death in Chicago's high-stakes environment. The story of King Von's death, Chief Keef's influence, and the aftermath remains evolving. Every new detail sheds light on a complex network of relationships, strategic decisions, and unseen forces. While fans debate motives and responsibility, insiders stress that the intersection of fame, street politics, and influence creates outcomes that are rarely simple or straightforward. Chief Keef's secret role and his choice to leave Chicago have become central to this narrative, revealing a side of the story that challenges assumptions, sparks debate, and reshapes understanding of one of the city's most tragic losses. In the aftermath of King Von's death, the narrative surrounding Chief Keef's influence and sudden departure from Chicago continues to unfold, revealing a complex web of decisions, alliances, and consequences that few outside the city fully understand. Sources close to the situation emphasize that while Keef was not publicly implicated, his presence in the network of Chicago's music and street scenes had a profound impact on how events developed. From subtle guidance to the way his reputation shaped perceptions, insiders argue that Keef's influence played a role in the tensions and dynamics that surrounded Von during his final days. Friends of Von described the young rapper as someone who was acutely aware of his environment. Rising fame had brought him attention, respect, and opportunities, but it had also brought scrutiny, rivalry, and danger. In a city where alliances and reputation could determine safety and opportunity, Von's every move required calculation. Insiders suggest that Keef's influence, even if indirect, factored into how Von navigated these pressures. Whether through perceived loyalties, strategic advice given to mutual associates, or simply the way Keef's reputation shaped others' actions, his role created a backdrop that affected Von's daily decisions. The days leading up to the tragedy were marked by heightened tension and complexity. Sources indicate that interactions between various players in Chicago's scene were increasingly charged, and that small disputes could escalate rapidly due to the underlying influence of powerful figures like Chief Keef. Even minor misunderstandings or perceived slights, when viewed through the lens of reputation and street politics, could have cascading effects. Friends of Von recount that he was careful, calculated, and aware of the stakes. Yet the pressures created by this intricate web of influence made the environment increasingly unpredictable and volatile. Chief Keef's decision to leave Chicago immediately after Von's death is a point of intense scrutiny. Friends and insiders suggest that the departure was both strategic and protective. Keef, aware of the scrutiny he could face due to his influence in the city, chose to step back from a highly charged environment where loyalties were being questioned and tensions were at their peak. While some fans criticized his absence, sources argue that this move was a calculated effort to protect himself and manage his long-term career and reputation. The timing of the departure, immediately following Von's death, has led to ongoing speculation about the degree of awareness and involvement Keef had in the events that unfolded. Social media and fan forums quickly erupted with theories and speculation. Many debated whether Keef had a direct or indirect role in the chain of events, while others questioned the timing of his departure. Insiders emphasize that these debates, while often fueled by emotion, reflect the reality that influence in Chicago's intertwined music and street worlds operates in both visible and hidden ways. Understanding the subtle, behind-the-scenes dynamics is crucial for anyone seeking to comprehend the full context of Von's death and the pressures faced by those involved. The psychological and emotional landscape for Von and his inner circle was extraordinarily intense. Sources indicate that constant vigilance, careful relationship management, and strategic decision-making were part of daily life. The indirect influence of Chief Keef reportedly added an additional layer of complexity, as Von had to consider not only his immediate interactions but also how perceived loyalties and reputation shifts could affect outcomes. Even with careful planning, the volatile mix of fame, alliances, and street politics created a precarious situation in which small missteps could escalate with severe consequences. Industry insiders point out that the events surrounding Von's death illustrate the larger truth about Chicago's music and street scene. Influence is not always direct, and decisions made behind the scenes can have real-world consequences. Chief Keef's presence, guidance, and reputation shaped the environment in ways that were often invisible to the public, but critically important to understanding the unfolding tragedy. Sources suggest that without accounting for these hidden dynamics, any analysis of Von's death is incomplete. Friends and analysts also note that the departure of a key figure like Chief Keef altered the balance of influence in the city. His absence left unresolved questions about loyalty, responsibility, and the flow of information, creating gaps that may have further complicated the aftermath of Von's death. While some view his decision as a necessary step for personal safety, others see it as emblematic of the pressures faced by influential figures in a high-stakes environment where fame, power, and survival intersect. The story also highlights the interplay between public perception and private dynamics. Keef's influence was felt not only in private dealings but also in how others interpreted credibility, threat, and opportunity. The combination of visible fame and invisible influence created a complex ecosystem in which decisions were amplified and consequences intensified. For Von, navigating this ecosystem required constant awareness and strategic thinking, underscoring how talent and ambition alone are insufficient in such high-pressure environments. Ultimately, the narrative surrounding King Von's death and Chief Keef's involvement underscores the complexities of Chicago's music and street scenes. The tragedy was not simply the result of a single event or conflict. It was shaped by a network of relationships, influence, and strategic decisions. Chief Keef's secret role, whether subtle or direct, and his subsequent exit from the city illustrate the high stakes of operating within this environment. For Von, these dynamics created a setting in which even careful planning could not prevent unforeseen outcomes. As the story continues to unfold, it becomes increasingly clear that understanding the tragedy requires looking beyond surface-level explanations. Chief Keef's indirect influence, his strategic withdrawal from Chicago, and the intricate network of pressures surrounding Von all play a crucial role in shaping the narrative. Each new detail adds depth to the story, highlighting the fragile balance of fame, loyalty, influence, and survival in a city where music and street politics are inseparably intertwined. For fans, analysts, and insiders alike, the saga of King Von's death serves as a powerful reminder of the complexity behind every high-profile tragedy in Chicago's hip-hop world. The story of King Von's death and Chief Keef's hidden role continues to captivate fans, shedding light on the complex web of influence, loyalty, and survival in Chicago's music and street scenes. From behind-the-scenes decisions to sudden departures, the events reveal just how high the stakes are for artists navigating fame, reputation, and rivalries. Every revelation adds layers to the tragedy, forcing fans to reconsider what they thought they knew and to analyze the unseen dynamics that shaped Von's final moments. Now it's your turn to join the conversation. What do you think about Chief Keef's secret influence and his departure from Chicago? Could Von's fate have been different if the dynamics had shifted? Share your thoughts in the comments below and connect with others who are following this story closely. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss updates on King Von, Chief Keef, and the ongoing revelations in Chicago's hip-hop world.